Hey, what's going on? This is Beer Today, Beer Tomorrow, and we are back at it again here, this time in the city. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Shit, doing well. Glad to be back.
Perry back at it, always digging it.
And we have two very, very special guests here with us today. Gentlemen, please introduce yourselves.
I'm Don Borelli, one of the owners of Arts and Crafts Beer Parlor.
I'm John Simons. I'm the beverage manager here down on 9th Street location.
Let's just get right into it. What was the inspiration behind opening this great place?
Well, I guess I kind of fell backwards into this business. I don't have a background in hospitality. I actually had 25 years with the FBI. I retired. I was one of the guys in charge of the Joint Terrorism Task Force and retired in 2010. And after doing consulting and some other stuff kind of related to security for a while, I decided I wanted to do something different. And this location where we're at on 8th Street used to be the Growler Station. Some of your listeners may know of the Growler Station. And it's a good, it was good business, good beer. Probably not the best fit for this block. And I knew some of the guys involved in the Growler Station. They asked me if I wanted to come in and take over, and really decided that this location would be better served as a craft beer bar, more of a sit and stay type of bar than a takeout. Mm-hmm. So I wound up taking over this location. The Growler Station left, negotiated a new lease. Coming from the FBI, I didn't know a darn thing about the beer business other than I like to drink beer, and like all of your listeners, which makes me like zero qualified to open the business. But my business partner now, I met a few years ago. He's a Broadway actor, retired, like a lot of bartenders around the city, have a background in acting and singing, but he had a lot of experience, and we talked about it and ran the numbers and decided that, with his experience in hospitality, his name is Robert LaFrance, got to give him credit here on the podcast, that, with my concept, I kind of came up with the concept of this and the location, put our heads together, the left brain and the right brain, and touch wood, 4 years later, here we are, and we have a second location uptown that opened 2 years ago. So thank goodness, and thanks to our customers, we're still going strong.
How scary was it?
Oh my God! It's like, give me terrorists. I'll take terrorists over the banking and finance, and it's scary. I by all accounts, I did something stupid. I took a secure federal government retirement and invested it into the riskiest business in the riskiest city in the country, right?
Wow, yeah.
Not the smartest thing, but, it was one of those things you just, nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? I felt confident in the business plan. I felt confident in my partner. I thought the location could do well. And craft beer was on the rise. And, sometimes just a little bit of a gut feeling and some common sense goes a long way, and that's what I try to bring to the business. After 4 years, I've certainly learned a lot and made a lot of mistakes, but nothing fatal yet. Touch wood.
Well, yeah, you have two locations. It seems like you're doing well.
We're doing all right. As I say, I take nothing for granted in this business. One day you think you've got it figured out. You got customers. You got a full bar of happy people. Something can happen. Anything can happen. Like, here's a good example. In December, busiest month of the year for us in our uptown locations, which is on Amsterdam and 116th. We have a lot of business with Columbia. We had a sewer pipe collapse, shut us down for 10 days, during Christmas party season. So, as soon as you think you've got it all figured out, you realize you don't. And it's one happy customer at a time, one day at a time, one good beer at a time, just kind of slow and steady. That's kind of our philosophy here.
So was there this defining moment where you were like, you know what, you mentioned you kind of fell backwards into it, but was there that moment that you realized this is what I want to do, this is the next chapter of my life?
I guess as soon as I signed the lease. Yeah. No, I think it was a kind of a progression of things, of events. And sometimes you just don't know exactly what that tipping point is and where it comes from. But again, I thought it was right. You you say a prayer, you roll the dice, whatever you do, and you go for it. And I'll tell you, and not just because John's sitting. Well, it is just because John's sitting here, but the thing is, I've been really lucky. We have been really lucky to have great, solid employees, and that's kind of the foundation. You can have a good beer list, a cool location. You got to have a really solid team. Not any one person can do this job and keep the customers happy day after day. Keep the beer, keep the beer list great day after day. So that's really been the best thing for me, is having great people.
And John, how did you get involved here?
So I was on a 6-month tour around the world, and I left just kind of find myself and get away from everything. I've been in the bar business for over 10 years. I started in craft beer down on St. Mark's place called Hop Devil Grill in Belgian Room when that was open. And that was kind of my introduction into the craft beer world. And then, I progressed with my knowledge and everything over the years. But coming here, I was working at, before I left for my trip, I was working up at Valhalla in Hell's Kitchen area. Nice craft beer bar. And I could have went back there, and I had a good relationship with the owners there, but I wanted something different when I came back. And I just happened upon this place, and Robert France, he was sitting at the bar when I came in, and we hit it off right away, and I loved the vibe of this place and the comfortable feeling that I got out of it. And they were just starting to build their second location, so I actually went up there and helped do the demo and build out up there of the location. And like you said, it's a good team here. It's everybody that I met in this company right away. We jived, and it was a good experience. And I knew I found a home in this business. And as a lot of bartenders will tell you, after several years of doing this work, you get kind of burnt out in places, and you're just showing up to do a job. But you show up here because you're meeting family, and you're enjoying the work that you're doing, and having the customers have a good experience as well. I mean, that all adds to it. But I would say, that's how it started here. I just kind of luckily happened upon it, a good chance.
Yeah, and you said you're the beverage manager?
Yeah, the beverage manager. So I curate all the beer lists here.
Okay.
And so
That translates to drinking a lot of samples. What's that
work?
That is the perk of the job. My fridge is loaded with samples. It's nice. Haven't bought beer in a long time. But I took over about a year after, I guess, I started bartending with the company. They asked me to take over the list. And what my vision was for this place was to make it local craft. I wanted to get all the local craft in here because it's been so great. All these brewers in Queens, Brooklyn, Hudson Valley area, they're coming out of nowhere. It's endless options that I have weekly to deal with. And I've had a lot of good reps, kind of coach me on what they think is the best thing coming out too. But my focus here was to make it local craft. That was, and that to draw people. And our competition is, Blind Tiger, Proletariat.
Edit all this out. No, just kidding.
But no,
they're good spots. We love you
This
guys.
is fine. It in August well. But what's nice about them, and I hear from them as well, is when people are looking for a next spot, we send them there, and they send people here because they can trust saying this place is a good place to get good local craft beer.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it's all about. And speaking of the scene, obviously there's a lot of great local breweries. Do you guys have any local favorites?
Well, I'm wearing a hat right now from
LIC Beer Project, yeah. It's a great brewery.
They are great guys over there. Dan's doing great stuff. That's probably one of my favorite breweries around. I also live in Woodside, Queens, so it's nice and convenient for me. But
yeah.
there's so many good
Yeah,
choices.
other half is
I mean,
great. We had an event with them a little while ago. Hudson Valley. I mean, that's the great thing about being in this business at this point in time in New York. There's no shortage of great choices, and some of them are, within a 5-mile radius. I mean, it's fantastic.
Interborough as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like he said, Hudson Valley, the blending program with sours that what Jason's doing is unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
it's
knocking
incredible.
it out of the park. I mean,
Well, and speaking of which, obviously at the time of this recording, we're in the midst of NYC Beer Week. You guys have an NYC Beer Week event going on as well, right?
yes. So we have Springdale's launching into the city, which is Jack's Abbey's kind of sister company. It's an all ale program, so Jack's Abbey is known for their lagers, their IPLs. Springdale is their offshoot, which they're doing unfiltered pale ales. They're doing sours that are very good, and the name of that is based on a relative of theirs that owned a icing company back in the day. So their emblem or their symbol is basically a block of ice cut out of the wood with the old saws. So a little history on them, but they're launching into the city this week during Beer Week, and we're doing an event on Tuesday starting around 7 p.m. the 6th. Yeah, we'll have eight different options, plus some Jack's Abbey stuff, some giveaways, swag giveaways, and $5 can options too.
bad.
The event is artist night, and a little bit kind of to go back to the name and the concept of the place, Arts and Crafts Beer Parlor. So craft obviously is craft beer, and art stands for the artists that rotate. We have every couple of months we get a new artist and we put their work on the wall, and this location is really known. It's an artsy neighborhood. There's an art school right down the street. Greenwich Village has always been known for the art scene. So we wanted to take and blend craft beer and art together, and it's also kind of a play on word, arts and crafts. People call up sometimes and saying, I want to bring my kids in to do yarn. No, we don't do yarn.
No yarn and beer.
No yarn and beer. Well,
maybe after 6 or 7 you start.
Believe it or not, that we've actually had a group of ladies that came in a few times and drank beer and knitted. No joke.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. So we do kind of blend those two things, but anyway, so when we get a new artist, what we'll try to do is have like a little launch party, and we'll generally get a beer sponsor for that, so we can promote the artist and promote a beer, a brewery, whatever. So we put the two together and make it a fun night. So next Tuesday is another artist night for Sean Bowen. He does his art is kind of the icon series, like rock legends and political people and so forth. It's a really cool exhibit. So that's the arts and crafts name and concept together.
Now, when you first started out, and this was a Growler Station,
Yeah.
was that your initial vision? Like, hey, we also want to focus on art, or did you also just kind of?
Yeah,
lead
no, I
into
kind
that?
of came up with the thought, kind of popped into my head, probably after a couple of beers or God knows what. But just it seemed to fit, and sometimes I don't know really how it kind of came up with it, but I thought the arts and crafts name is catchy, the neighborhood is artsy, craft beer. Let's figure out a way to kind of blend the two. And Robert and I came up. Robert actually knows art, my partner, so he curates all the art. He finds the artist. He does all the scheduling, makes sure that that part of the program is running smoothly, and it works. So it's different, and it's nice. Sometimes we'll get in people that might come in because they know the artist or their friends, and then we can introduce them to craft beer. And then the flip side is we get the beer people that come in because there's something on the board they really want, and they go, hey, that's a really cool piece of art. We've had graffiti artists, we've had mixed media, traditional, a little of everything. So that's kind of what we do.
So speaking of getting people into craft beer, were there specific beers that got you guys, and I'll ask the question to both of you, is there specific beers that got you guys into the craft beer scene? Do you recall?
I guess for me, I started kind of slowly. Back in my government days, I was more of a Coors Light guy. Nothing wrong with Coors Light, but light. But then as my palate changed, I think the IPAs are what kind of moved me away from kind of the mass-produced lager beers into more of the craft scene. And now I think that's probably my go-to beer is something hoppy, an IPA or pale ale. But once in a while, I'll enjoy a sour or a saison. When the weather's cold, really, a nice barrel-aged stout. Is
Oh, yeah.
So, a little of everything.
Yeah. For me, I used to try my hand at some home brewing, and as a treat, I remember. The two beers that always were like a treat to have were Hill Farmstead Abner, if we could get it. I grew up in Connecticut, so we'd take the trip up for Abner if we could, or Pliny the Elder. To be honest with you, that was like back in the day. That was classic beer. And it's funny how my palate's changed so much since then, and with all these juice bombs coming out. I tried that Pliny not too long ago, and I still have an appreciation for it and love for it, but I don't gravitate towards wanting it anymore like I did. But I would say those two beers definitely started my interest in the craft beer.
Yeah.
But
So what would you say is the most exciting and or rewarding aspect of working here?
most exciting part, my favorite things customers come in and tell me is that they don't like a certain style. They say they hate IPAs, can't deal with them. But IPAs have changed so much over the years.
Yeah.
So I'll give them a taste of like a double IPA, like juice bomb that's just, not super bitter, but like has all these notes and adjuncts put into it. And they taste it and they're like, I love this. And I'm like, well, that's a double IPA.
Yeah.
Or, sours as well. Don can kind of attest to this. When I took over the beer program, he hated sours. He hated Goza's sours.
Yeah.
He said Goza's smelled like socks, all that, and then I'd get some in and I was like, try this, you gotta try this, and now he's had a few where he's like, I really love this, it's great. There's all these changes that have gone through beer, and I don't even know what I could say would be the next movement in beer because I didn't see sours coming. I didn't see the juicy IPAs that we know of now coming. So
it's constantly evolving and changing.
Constantly, and it's interesting because 10 years when I started this, people said this wouldn't last. And I kind of like laughed at it. I'm like, why would you say that? How could you say that?
Yeah.
Beer's been around forever and it's always evolving. But they said the craft beer movement would end, and I always disagreed with them. I say, how could it?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a little bit of a personal question. You don't have to ask, but are you single?
I am single, yes.
Okay. So, I mean, don't lie. Is that not the best part about being a beverage manager?
I don't tell a lot of women I'm a beverage manager. I usually, that ends up at the bar usually, bartending. But
okay, just wonder.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's. Yeah, I probably wouldn't even know what I'm talking about if I said that. So.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. And so now, what are some of the wildest things? You got any like wild bar stories? Anything crazy that happened that you were just like, wow, I can't believe that just happened?
Well, in this location, you can probably tell this story. As we were talking about before, the art on the walls. We have had people try to steal the art and walk down the street. In a drunken fit, thinking this is a good idea.
Don't let the fact that the owner's an FBI or a retired FBI agent stop you. Just go ahead and steal that art. No, we don't have any cameras. No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, and it was, from what I understand, it wasn't a small piece either.
Yeah, we had a guy take off doing the full sprint down the street. Thankfully, one of the guys on duty was a college baseball player is like the youngest guy that we have, and certainly the fastest. The rest of us probably could not caught the guy. They ran after him and caught him. So yeah, we've had a couple crazy stuff. Thankfully, though, you know what? The good thing, both here and even the Uptown location, it's a really respectful crowd. We've had,
No problem.
yeah, I mean, even Halloween with the Halloween parade, which was right down the street, and the Village that's one of the busiest, craziest nights of the year.
Yeah.
It gets busy, but the people that we have been really respectful. We've had the Pride parade. Everybody's been super fun and friendly. Very, we welcome everybody. It's a very diverse and eclectic crowd, as you can imagine, just by virtue of our location. But we haven't had a lot of crazy stories. Thank God. I'll say that now. Tonight, somebody's going to come in.
Knock on wood, right?
Wood, right?
We're all knocking wood here.
Yeah.
Probably a reason for that too is because we don't have shops or liquor, too,
Right.
which that usually amps people up and to do stupid things,
Very true.
That's very true. Yeah, I mean, I think typically, for the most part, I don't want to generalize, but for the most part, I feel like the craft beer crowd, it's a pretty respectful crowd. I mean, people are coming in, they really appreciate the beers, and they're all about that experience.
Yeah.
So their whole night out kind of revolves around that, around these appreciation for these different beers. So you typically get a little bit more of a subdued,
I think so.
subdued
Plus,
crowd.
We have one television, and for the most part, it's kind of tucked behind our chalkboard up there. And
for most people to talk.
yeah, we want people to come in, enjoy the beer. It's a place where you can have a conversation, like what we're doing now, and not get wound up in whatever sports on TV and doing shots and all. I mean, of course, we'll show the Olympics, we'll show the Super Bowl, things like that. But for the most part, it's a conversation bar. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here a couple times, and I definitely got the, more of a local, hanging out with your friends, stop by for a drink and just have a chat, catch up.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not coming in to get wasted and, pop along through the neighborhood.
Yeah,
So.
and the great thing, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised at this, but you think of kind of the stereotype, it's a beer bar, so you're going to have it's going to be full of guys and bros and all. We get as many ladies that come in here as guys that are extremely knowledgeable, appreciate good beer. It's a comfortable place where it's just everybody can come in, sit down, relax, have a great conversation. So that to me, I mean, I'm proud of that. It makes me really happy when I see that.
Absolutely.
Okay. How many FBI agents are in here on a regular basis? Are we allowed to talk about that?
They always come in and want something for free. I tell them, go down the stairs. I work for a living now, man. No, I still get a few of my old colleagues that'll come in, and it's great to see them. But for the most part, they have a couple of their local haunts that they drink at. They're right around the corner from the office. But occasionally I've had some of my old colleagues and friends come in, and it's fun. It's certainly different to see them, and or them, at least for them to see me what I'm doing now versus what I did.
Sure.
Totally different. And do you find with some of your old buddies, is it harder to kind of convince them to get into the craft beer scene, or do you feel like they're kind of open to it?
No, I think a lot of them are really open to it. You kind of get into your habits. You go to your bar and whatever your particular thing is, whether it's a Guinness or a Coors Light or a whatever. And having a place like this allows me, when they come in, I can introduce them to something different. Say, hey, why don't you try this? Especially if I'm paying for it, right? They're much more willing to take a chance, and then they like it and appreciate it, and so. And that's kind of part of what we do, not just for my friends, but for a lot of our customers, and John can speak about this. We're pretty good about, giving people a taste before they commit, and the bartenders
Sometimes too many.
Yeah.
No such thing.
After 15 or 20 little tastes, we say, hey, why don't you buy one now?
Yeah.
What do you actually like?
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys have a flight of the entire board, right?
Yeah,
As
we
an
have-
option. So
yeah,
We
you
have
can-
four
you
different options.
by the time they get there, to
Lights,
say, well, you
yeah.
did that. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well.
But we want people to appreciate what they're drinking, and if you're new to craft beer, and maybe sometimes it can be intimidating, we want to take that mystery out of it. Take a taste, let the bartenders describe what they're tasting, and if they like it, great. And if they don't, let's kind of shift. That's good. That's a good data point to start with, and let's move on to something they may like. That's part of what we do.
So now, at any given time, how many beers do you guys have on tap, and how many beers do you guys just carry in general?
So we have 24 taps. We have 4 beers that are happy hours that stay constant. Other than that, everything changes every other day, and there's always something new on. So it constantly revolves. We do have a certain bottle and cider list that stays permanent, but we also do whatever I can get my hands on, to be honest with you.
Right.
Of good stuff. We have a rotating specialty can list in bottles that's always updated every week. So that could be from 4 different options to 8 different options of sours, IPAs that are mostly coming from local sources. But yeah, really good stuff.
Even like, what was it, last week we had or 2 weeks ago we had a drop of Heady Topper and Focal Banger. It was like, the beer Santa shows up, and it's great. But John's been very good about curating also the bottle and can list, which quite honestly, when I was buying the beer, I didn't have as much time to do all the research, and John kind of keeps up with all the current stuff. And so in addition to 24 beers on draft, some of the cans and bottles that we have here are pretty nice.
Some cans at Root and Branch, we just got them in last week. Dead Men on Holiday, and that lasted like 2 days.
Yeah,
and once people knew what that was, man, people were searching it out. But yeah, it's fun to kind of see that happen, where it's like you bring in a case and you're not really sure what it is yet, and then you just see people flock towards it, and then it's gone in 2 days, and you're like, oh, that was easy,
Yeah.
Let's get more.
Let's get
more. If we could, yeah.
Now, can you drink the cans here?
Yeah. For most part, you drink the cans here. You can take them out.
We do growlers too.
But with certain stuff, you can't take out. Like we don't do growlers of like Hill Farmstead, Equilibrium, Tired Hands.
Sure.
It's just not allowed. So we don't do that.
Yeah.
Heady Topper, Heady Topper, Foker Banger. Not allowed to take that out either. So we're very conscious of making sure it's okay with the brewer to let it go out of the building. Yeah, but for the most part, you can either drink it in here or take it out. Yeah.
And now you mentioned you have 4 constant happy hour beers. What are those beers, and what are the happy hour specials?
Yeah, so happy hour specials are, we have a Greenport Black Duck Porter, Omegon Wit, Lion's Head Pilsner, and what am I forgetting here? Hebrew Hop Mana.
Okay.
From upstate New York. Those are $5 from when we open till 7 p.m. And then Sunday, it's all day, happy hour.
Oh, nice.
For those beers. And then we have 2 wine specials as well, Sauvignon Blanc and a Malbec, not beer.
Yeah. So are those the only non-beer beverages that you guys serve here?
We have sodas and sparkling water, but yeah, that's it.
We care about the booze.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just the booze is just just a few wine options, but it's all beer. Yeah, beer and cider. Yeah.
Have you found any particular? I know you mentioned you guys got some beers and recently went quick. Have you found any particular styles that have resonated particularly well with the crowd here?
Yeah. So our top sellers are definitely we're an IPA crowd and sour. Sours have blown up. I started out putting, I think, 1 or 2 on the list. Now sometimes I have like 4 options on our tap list. The stuff that's coming out is really very good. I was telling them earlier about you being not a sour fan and trying to get you to be one.
Yeah, now I think I've gone to the dark side.
Yeah. So.
Well, when this podcast started, I wasn't into sours either, and then Perry has slowly turned me to the dark side. Yeah.
Don't call it the dark side.
Well, these guys are into like mouth puckering tart, super sour, especially Justin.
Yeah.
But it took me it took me a little bit to get into sours. I do like sours. I do appreciate them. But in the beginning, it took a little bit longer than some of the other styles that I tend to gravitate to. But
Right.
I mean, sours are great, and I'm just like you said, I'm surprised that they've, or maybe surprised is not a good way to put it, but they really have become quite popular. I mean, everyone's talking about sours.
Yeah, it's funny, I was just talking yesterday with somebody about this. 10 years ago, you couldn't pay somebody to drink Cantillon, and now if Cantillon comes around, good luck getting it.
Yeah,
Right.
Good luck.
It's massive.
Yeah.
It's just the way that's changed over the years. But
Yeah, and as a business owner, I always think, okay, how is this going to affect the bottom line, right? Looking at the numbers, I'm thinking, okay, we're not going to have sours in the winter. Nobody's going to want a sour beer when it's 20 degrees outside. That's not true at all. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
no, I think they beat the
Yeah,
Stouts
so-
right now, I think.
yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's
At least here, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like sours, it's kind of like, IPAs, double IPAs, obviously popular for a very long time. They're still the buzzword, but I feel like sours is another kind of like craft beer buzz term. People just want sours.
And I think part of it's also the intensity of the flavor, right? Like,
Yeah.
like an IPA, it doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. You're still going to get that burst of, flavor, smell, whatever.
Right.
Sours generally have that similar kind of, aspect to them. Whereas a stout, you like the mouthfeel, you like the warmth of the beer.
Right.
And that does kind of lend itself to a dark,
And it
colder
and they
climate.
both change, as they warm
Absolutely,
up.
yeah.
The complexities come out, so
And
they are distinct beers.
And the sour beer drinkers, the real kind of aficionados, when they see a sour beer on the board that they like, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're, out in Brooklyn or Bronx or wherever they're going to come to drink it. That Hudson Valley was with the Amorphia.
Yeah.
The Amorphia
That
was
was-
gone in a day.
Those guys are really hot right now. I mean,
Yeah, so
Hudson Valley is
Jason,
really popular right now.
The blending program that he does he's a mad scientist. I mean, he's just doing stuff that's unbelievable, with his sours. It's great.
No, I agree. I agree.
It's always exciting to get something in from him, and you're like, I wonder what this is going to be like. It's cool.
So what was one of the beers recently, or one of the beers you were most excited to get, or most excited that you were able to bring into the bar here?
To bring into the bar? Well, I went out to Inneborough not too long ago and had some hangout time with Jason out there, and I fell in love with what I'm drinking right now. It's called the Ale Plus Matic.
Yeah,
It's
a good one.
Solid double IPA. So when that came in, I was very excited about that.
I love what those guys are doing in Inneborough. They make
Very good.
really good brews.
Very good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's like it's a treat every week to when I get my hands on some stuff. It is exciting to look at the distro list coming out on the weekend, and then if you get it in on time, your request and you get it, you're like, yeah, I scored.
Yeah,
there,
absolutely.
I'm always excited when Hetty and the Focal arrives because I know people are going to fill up the bar, even if they only get one.
Now, I do have a question. It's a little bit jumping around, but what does your day-to-day look like?
Well, the excitement of owning a bar. I mean, I can't just describe. I don't want to bore your listeners in the last little bit of the show. What I do is mostly all the behind-the-scenes stuff, paying bills, making sure we got money to do the payroll, the insurance, all of the boring.
Keeping the
stuff,
lights on.
Keeping the lights on, which obviously that's an important part of any business. That's what I do, and I used to do a lot more of the hands-on, but as we grew and kind of needed to delegate more things, and we had more people that with experience like John and some of our people at Upper Amsterdam, my business partner, it's been great to be able to delegate. So I don't have to worry about ordering and this and that and this and that. I can kind of delegate that to people that are quite honestly a lot better at it than I am and know a lot more about beer than I do. So I'm kind of the guy that like you said, keeps the lights on and look more of the strategic planning type stuff, kind of the big picture things.
Okay. Now, what does the future look like for arts and crafts? Like as far as beer philosophy as far as, are you thinking about expanding or doing anything crazy?
That's a very good question, and one that's been debated over the last few months. My immediate thought is no plan for expansion. I feel I feel good about what we've created. 4 years in this place, 2 years in the Uptown location, and then some days I feel like we barely took the training wheels off. I'm learning new things every day. I always feel like there's still ways we can get better with the locations that we already have. And so if there's an expansion plan in the future, I don't see it immediately. I really want to see how good we can get and perfect what we've already got before we think about getting better, or getting bigger, I should say.
Okay. Yeah.
Just seeing how this, specific to New York, to seeing how the craft beer scene has grown and just expanded and continues to grow. How important is that to you guys, and where do you see your bar as factoring into that equation?
So we put a lot of emphasis into the beer. I mean, you look at this location, we only have a few food items. We're not huge. So our emphasis is the beer. Our Uptown location, same thing, although it's a bigger location, we have a full kitchen, so we do a lot more food. But still, our philosophy is, let's do one thing right at least. I mean, hopefully we do more than one thing right, but if we're going to do any one thing right, let's make sure it's the beer. The biggest capital investment that we made in this location and the Uptown location is our Chill Right beer system, our beer delivery system, so that each pour is the right temperature, the right, carbonation, everything. We clean the lines at least once a month, which it gets expensive, not just the cleaning, but a lot of the beer that gets flushed down the tube, because we want to make sure that every beer that our customer drinks tastes like it should, exactly like it, the brewer wants it to taste at the right temperature. And so, that's what craft beer is. I mean, and that's where we put our money and our efforts. And if you come here and you want the best pizza in the world, sorry, it may not be the best, but we're going to give you a fantastic craft beer.
And I think that's all you can ask for. You come out, you want a good beer, you get a good beer. That's the experience right there. So really quick, what are the hours of operation here?
At this location, Monday through Thursday, we open at 3 o'clock and we close at midnight. And then Friday and Saturday, we open a little earlier. We open at 2, close at 1. Sunday, we open at 2, close either 11 or midnight. If it's busy, we'll stay open. If nobody's here, we may close at 11 o'clock. Uptown location, pretty much the same, except for we always open at noon up there because we do a lunch.
Okay. And Sundays is the all-day happy hour, which if that's appealing, it's a very good deal.
That's appealing.
It's open to close.
All day happy hour.
Yeah.
And do you guys have any, we talked about the New York City Beer Week event. Do you guys have any other upcoming events that you'd like to plug or talk about?
I don't have time to go to anything. Honestly, I've been asked by a few, but I honestly, I'm kind of strapped for time because I'm going away in a little bit.
Yeah, we don't have any on the schedule, but hopefully your listeners will look on our website or our social media. We post when we're going to have beer events and art events and all that kind of stuff. And between this location and the other location, we have at least 1 or 2 things a month. We don't try to saturate people with an event every week.
We have a big LIC event coming up, Uptown location, sometime in April, I believe.
I think it's the 26th of April, give or
20
take.
tap takeover,
Okay.
I think is planned. So that'll be a nice event.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people want to find out more about you guys, what's the website? What's the social media? What's the best way to learn more?
The website is artsandcraftsbarnyc.com. And we have a Facebook page. I'm not a Facebook guy, but I don't know. I never use, I'm in my, I'm 57. Facebook was, I especially in the FBI, it's like, no, we're not going to do Facebook. But we do have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram. AC Beer NYC is our Instagram, and we have a Twitter. I think it's the same. So, yeah, it's all on the website.
Sure.
That's social media, right?
That's social
Social media.
So there you go. So, craft beer, how does it stack up to the FBI? This life of craft beer you're in now.
You know what? It's different, but it's challenging. I mean, owning a business, especially in craft beer, which it's dynamic, right? I mean, you think it's always going to get better. You never know. So it's a challenge. The FBI was always, you kind of wake up every day. You don't know exactly how the day is going to turn out. I enjoy it. And the nice thing about craft beer as opposed to FBI and security, it's a heavy topic. When you're talking to people, it's generally not because they want you there, and you knock on somebody's door and like, oh, what are you doing? They're not happy to see you. People walk in, they have a smile. Here's your beer. Here's your $5 happy hour. Oh, it's only $5. Great, everybody's happy. Blue skies. That's not normally the end of the FBI story. So
very true.
Yeah, that's very true. So, do you guys have any parting words for our audience? Anything that you want to say that we haven't yet said during the show?
Just check us out. I mean, it's a comfortable, cozy atmosphere here, and we always have good local stuff on, and I would say check it out.
All right, well said. Justin, any parting words?
Oh yeah, I really like this place. We were just here. Perry and I were just here like 2 weeks ago, not knowing this episode was going to even happen. There's a like a keto restaurant like a few blocks from here. We had dinner there and came here. Yeah, I like this place for sure.
Thank you. Glad you guys came in.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you guys so much for hosting Beer Today, Beer Tomorrow. I have been here before as well. I do really enjoy this place. I think it's one of the better bars in the city, and fantastic. Thank you guys so much, and for our audience listening,
and your listeners can sometimes meet Beckett the Labrador. And
we got Beckett hanging out right here with us.
He's a therapy dog, so it's a full service place. You can have a craft beer, pet the dog, feel good. All your stress is gone.
Oh, that's very cool. Very cool.
Very, very cool. So shout out to Beckett. Shout out to Beckett the Labrador. And again, for the audience listening, if you have not yet been here, we urge you definitely come out. It's a great time, great beer, great atmosphere. And if you've been here, then what are you waiting for? Come on back. It's a great place. Yeah, easy to get to, lots of beers, $5 happy hour. What more could you want?
What more could you want?
It's Beer Today, Beer Tomorrow. Signing off. Until next year, no matter where you are in the world, drink local, drink fresh, repeat. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this week's show. We really appreciate the support. Stay tuned because we've got a lot of exciting shows and special guests coming at you soon. Want to find out more about the Craft Beer Odyssey? Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And of course, subscribe to the show on iTunes or Podbean. Want shirts that will have you styling and profiling? Want 16-ounce soda can style glassware for all of your craft beer drinking needs? Well, we got them at the BTBT store. It's your go-to for BTBT branded merchandise. Visit the BTBT store at beertodaybeertomorrow.com for your exclusive shirts and glassware today. Until next week, you know what it is. Drink local, drink fresh, repeat. This is Beer Today, Beer Tomorrow, signing off. Cheers.